Welcome back to KCRW. It's so great to have you guys here. And it's so much love in this room because of y'all. So real quick, I'm right here. I'm Louis guy. Oh yeah, I got jokes. These guys are funny AF. Like we were not just cracking jokes left and right. No, I think you're funny.
What do you mean?
Funny like what do you mean? Like what kind of
What am I, a clown?
No, y'all got jokes. You know what I'm talking about. Actually, before we get into the questions, one of the things that I've noticed, and correct me if I'm wrong, but I feel like humor is
See? There it is.
right on cue too. I feel like humor is a huge part of this band. Would you agree or disagree?
Of course.
Why is that?
I don't know. Look at us.
He said, look at us. Comedic timing on point. Take me back to 1973. What was it like being a Chicano in Los Angeles?
Oh man, you don't want to talk about those days, do you?
I do.
All right.
Because real quick, I know that I'm in the presence of teachers, and so I'm here to listen and to learn.
Well, I don't know what to say. What
What was it like being a Chicano in the 70s?
It was kind of cool. Yeah. A lot of good weed, you know. A lot of good homegrown, and we were going to college, you know. Yeah. So I started the band, and you know, we went on this crazy ride with music. Yeah. We had a good time. We were experimenting with Mexican folk music, and we were young rock and roll kids, and one of many bands that were in every other corner in East LA. You know, there was a lot of bands, and just having a great time. You know.
Yeah. Back in the 70s, I can't help but to think about when you mentioned the Mexican folklore music. Where were you hearing it? Was this your parents' music? Was this your music? Where was this coming? Where were you hearing it from?
On the radio.
But was it punk rock to basically get into that while still
No,
exploring
see, you
different
got to
sounds?
understand, we were rock and roll guys first. You know, we were rocking out. We all had rock bands and stuff. And then all of a sudden, I got into the folk music for a second there. And then I invited all my homies over here, and we started the band, Los Lobos. But we got interested in Mexican folk music. And that's why, because that's the music of our parents, our heritage, and it just felt good to do it, you know.
Yeah.
And I'm one of the only Mexicanos I was born in Mexico, you know. The guys are born in L.A. Wow, muchas gracias.
Well, we were born in East LA.
One more time, Conrad, you gotta say into the mic. One more time, Conrad, what are you?
I was born in East LA.
Ese.
Born in East LA. Followed by an essay. They're not messing around. So take me back to Garfield High. What was it like then, meeting all these other folks, and like what was that like in that scene?
Garfield High was fun too. I mean, we didn't go to many classes. We had 10 classes. But we hung. It was a great hang, you know. And like I said, there again at school there was a lot of musicians, so we always hung in those little corners out there with all the musicians and stuff. And you know, some of us did go to class, you know, but
Yeah.
that's why I had to make it up at junior college, you know, because we were having too much fun in high school.
Yeah.
But no, it was great, man. It was great. As far you know, politics, it's always been kind of weird, you know. But
Why was it weird?
we're brown people, and you know, we always had to defend ourselves, you know.
What was it like playing norteño sounds in punk rock clubs? Did you always feel like
Oh,
you were
that was
other?
9 years later. Yeah, I mean, we eventually when the 70s were coming to an end, and we had been playing around for a while. We decided that we said, hey man, why don't we just try writing some music and stuff. It was that time, and I started thinking about that. I mean, we were always kind of hinting, sort of getting there and about writing, but when the 80s started to come around, we it's just these things that just happened to us. Yeah. We started to write music, and we started to kind of plug back in, as we said, because we were unplugged for all those years. We were all a 100% acoustic band, you know. And then we started kind of dusting off our Fender Strats and Les Pauls and what have you. Started pulling out our Fender Deluxes out of the
Yeah.
the closet and started rocking out again. And
Yeah.
and during that time, we were fans of like the local LA scene, especially a lot of the punk music, and we thought that it was kind of interesting, and so we got invited to somehow or another. I think the guy, Louis and Dave, they ran into Phil and Dave Alvin of the Blasters, and we didn't know, but they were big fans, and they shared some stuff back and forth about it, and they eventually they invited us to open up for them at the whiskey. At the whiskey with them, and it was great. We rocked out the best we could, and I guess it was one of the first times you heard norteño music or whatever, rocking out norteño music at the whiskey. And it went over well. It was rocking. I mean, for all the punk.
Steve, what was that like when you caught this band live? When you watched them for the first time?
It was. This is how I put it. No one had ever seen these guys before. No one had in the room. The next day, literally every single conversation I had with every single person I talked to was Los Lobos. You see Los Lobos? It was like a B movie version of like literally, and that's all anybody wanted to talk about for like a week. It was just like it was like a nuclear bomb.
Yeah. Well, we're going to get to music, but I have one last thing to ask. I think it's great that you guys are doing this tour. You're playing the Paramount in Boyle Heights. You're also playing the Escalante Auditorium at Garfield High. You're going back to your roots. And I think it's beautiful. Louis, I think it was you who said, we may be wolves, but we're also bulldogs for life. Woo! That's a Vato quote right there.
Wow.
That's like... You got
He
a strap.
said- he said that?
Last but not least, I think it's beautiful that they're joined by Fredo on the drums. And Fredo has, we're gonna wrap this up, but Fredo, I need to ask you this because you said something beautiful. We were listening, we were talking outside. But how did you get connected to Conrad in this band?
My parents were big fans, and we went to a fundraiser somewhere in East Los, little place, and Conrad spotted me tapping on a 7-Up can. And he's like, song stopped, and he's like, I just saw your son. And he was right on point, man. He has it. So, I don't know, fast forward 30 some odd years later, and here we are.
You gotta love it. Without further ado, let's get to music. Make some noise for Los Lobos.